Well, having had the benefit of having spent over 2.5 years in predominantly Muslim countries, I think I know a little bit about the faith of Islam. I have a copy of the Quran here, and I would challenge you, sir, to show me where it says in the Quran that Muhammad arose and walked among the dead. I think you misinterpreted a couple of things. So before you start mocking somebody else's religion, you might want to find out a little bit more about it. It kind of makes you look like a doofus. And Mr. Thomas is correct. In many other Muslim-speaking countries, or excuse me, many Arabic-speaking countries beyond Muslim, something like this is definitely against the law there in their society. In fact, it could be punished by death. It frequently is in their society. Here in our society, we have a Constitution that gives us many rights, specifically First Amendment rights. It's unfortunate that some people use the First Amendment to deliberately provoke others. I don't think that's what our forefathers had really intended. I think our forefathers intended that we use the First Amendment so that we can speak what's on our mind, not to piss off other people, other cultures, which is what you did. I don't think you're aware, sir. There's a big difference between how Americans practice Christianity. Now, I understand you're an atheist. But, see, Islam is not just religion, it's their culture. Their culture is their very essence, their very being. They pray 5 times a day towards Mecca. To be a good Muslim, before you die, you have to make a pilgrimage to Mecca, unless you're otherwise told you cannot because you're too ill, too utterly whatever, but you must make the attempt. The greetings. Assalamu alaikum. Alaikum assalam. May God be with you. Whenever it is very common, their language, when they're speaking to each other, it's very common for them to say, Allah willing, this will happen. They are so immersed in it. And what you've done is you completely trashed their essence, their being. They find it very, very, very offensive. I'm not Muslim. I find it offensive. I find what's on the other side that's very offensive. But you have that right. But you're way outside your bounds. First Amendment rights. This is what, and I spent about 7.5 million years altogether living in other countries. When we go to other countries, it's not uncommon for people to refer to us as ugly Americans. This is why we are referred to as ugly Americans. Because we're so concerned about our own rights, we don't care about other people's rights. As long as we get our say, but we don't care about the other people's say. All that aside, I've got here basically, I don't want to say he said, she said, but I've got 2 sides of the story that are in conflict with each other. I understand, and I've been in a Halloween parade, I understand how noise can be, how difficult it is to get a hold, but I can't believe that if there was this kind of conflict going on in the middle of the street, that somebody didn't step forward sooner to try and intervene, that the police officer on the bicycle didn't stop and say, hey, let's break this up. You put your hand down, sir. Okay. You're not a witness. the preponderance, the burden of proof is that the defendant, it must be proven that the defendant did with the intent to harass, annoy, or alarm another person. The Commonwealth, whether it was conflict or not, and yes, he should be putting your hands on you. I don't know. I have your story that he did and his story that he did not. But another part of the element, as Mr. Thomas said, was the defendant's intent to harass, annoy, or alarm? Or was it his intent to try and have the offensive situation negated? If his intent was to harass, annoy, or alarm, I think there would have been a little bit more of an altercation, something more substantial as far as testimony going on that there was a conflict. Because there is not, it is not proven to me beyond a reasonable doubt that this defendant is guilty of harassment. Therefore, I'm going to dismiss the charge.